You know, Will Rogers was one of the biggest stars in American history, and so when you come to the Will Rogers Memorial, you're learning about his life and his experience. And he became the biggest star in radio, the biggest star writing in newspapers, the biggest star in the movies. And this museum celebrates his life and his family and his Cherokee heritage, and it's just a beautiful museum inside. When you come in, you get to see a lot of artwork that was dedicated to Will Rogers after he passed away in 1935, and then you can really dig into Will Rogers' life, from his Cherokee heritage, his family when he grew up here in the Indian Territory, to his life when he started out on Vaudeville, then on to the radio, and then into the movies. And so you can really experience Will Rogers' life. And then also, you know, when he died in 1935, just what a tragedy that was to all of the country. I mean, the whole world mourned because of his death, and so you can experience that, his life that when he flew in airplanes and he flew to Alaska in 1935. So you really get the entire life of Will Rogers inside this museum. We're just a mile off of Route 66, and in 1952 the Route 66 Association nicknamed the route the Will Rogers Highway, so that's something unique about him as well. So he had a huge presence in this country. Presidents talked to him all the time. Millions of people read his daily columns. He was the #1 movie star in America in 1934. He was one of the top radio personalities, but I think that's one of the things that people would be surprised of, is that right here in Claremore we have a museum to a guy that meant so much to this country and to the world. He traveled all over the country and all over the world. So Will Rogers actually never lived in Oklahoma. He was born and raised in the Indian Territory in the Cowiskui district of the Cherokee Nation, and he was born in 1879 in a ranch about 12 miles here up near Oologah. It's a beautiful home overlooking Oologah Lake. Will Rogers grew up there, learned how to rope there. His dad was a big person in the Cherokee Nation. He was in the council. He was actually, when Oklahoma became a state, he was one of the delegates to the Oklahoma Constitutional Convention. He had a ranch in Oologah that had some 60,000 acres, and then he moved to Claremore and had a bank here. So he was a big player in the Cherokee Nation. Will Rogers grew up with that heritage and took that heritage with him when he went on to become a celebrity. He started out in Texas Jack's Wild West show just doing rope tricks. He went on to the Vaudeville circuit and the Follies doing rope tricks, and then he started talking. But it was those rope tricks that set him apart from everybody else. He was so talented. He worked so hard when he was growing up on the ranch, and he could do all these tricks. And we've got a movie that he made called The Ropin' Fool. It's a silent movie, but it shows you all of his rope tricks. He did in slow motion so you could see what he did, but he was incredibly talented with the ropes. And so people loved to sit there and watch that. And then from there he started talking up on stage, and then became a personality throughout the country. But if it wasn't for those rope tricks to get him started, he wouldn't have been able to make it as big as he did. You know, I think today a lot of people just don't know how big of a star that he was. You know, people, when this was first built in 1938, people from all over the country came here for 20 and 30 years to pay their respects because they were a part of his life. And he was a part of theirs inside their home and at the movie theaters and in the newspaper. But over time, people don't realize how big of a star that he meant to this country, because he did so much. He was the voice of the common person, but yet he hung out with kings and the common man. I mean, he was just an incredibly huge person in Americana and American life. We've got the memorial here. That's a beautiful stop on Route 66, and then you can take the route all the way to Santa Monica, and there's the Will Rogers Ranch out there that you can visit. So we kind of have two major points along the route that are related to Will Rogers.